Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Coming up, top rifle reviewer Tim Pilbeam has got his hands on a 30 calibre airgun. Is it worthy of the name firearm? We're putting guns into the hands of giggling girls. It's the final of the Oxford Gun Company's Novice Schools Challenge. First, another couple of screamers. Roy Lupton and Mark Gilchrist are clearing out feral pigeons from a barn in Essex. You don't have to be a game chef like Mark Gilchrist to appreciate that no one wants pigeon poo in their sandwiches. But when the skies start to darken thanks to bird numbers around wheat storage barns, it's time to send some of them to the big grain store in the sky.
So you've got a few pigeons here.
Got a lot of pigeons, a lot of ferals now, built up over, well, a long time now. But, yeah.
What sort of problems do they cause you?
We're in various schemes that basically we're not really allowed to have any sort of pigeons around the grain stores, these food stores.
Yeah.
So, you know, you just don't want birds messing in the stores.
So hopefully we will be able to sort them out today.
That's what I'm hoping, yeah.
Right. So,
yeah.
and you very kindly let me shoot a few pigeons here. So the least we can do is try and do some feral pigeons.
That would be good.
And you kindly put some wheat out for us.
Yeah.
In strategic spots. And there must be about 500 or 600 quid's worth of wheat on the floor there. The way the price is at the moment.
If only. We will be gathering it all up after. So.
Well, when Roy's finished, he'll individually pick each grain up and put it back into the store for you.
We'll be checking.
Mark is joined by Roy Lupton with his Air Arms air rifle. To avoid damaging the roofs, we need some subtle, more refined shooting. Giving them both barrels will win no friends here. With a little of Farmer Mark's precious wheat on the ground, we're hoping to get the birds dropping in. But first we're going to have a quick whiz around the yard. Roy takes a few birds, but the guys think that the best bet is a two-pronged approach. Roy picking the birds off with the air rifle, Mark keeping them moving with the Maxus on the neighbouring field.
What's the game? What we're going to play out today?
We're going to have to get you to go and shoot them off the roof, and I'll go down to the bottom there with a shotgun, because every time that bunch comes up, if they come out and I can get 3 or 4 out of the bunch,
yeah, that's it,
and they go back in, we're very quickly going to rack up some numbers.
I think if we can just pick them off when they're 25-30 yards with the air rifle, and that's it, you keep them moving, hopefully we'll stand a bit of a better chance.
Well, we'll go and give that a go.
Okay.
I'll go and stand behind that hedge. I mean, I don't need to build a very good hide because they're only ferals, and you know, it's about my level, I'm afraid. So there we go.
All right, mate. Excellent stuff.
With Mark installed, Roy starts working the yard. The birds are already a bit skittish and half of them have got the flock out of here. But there's plenty to keep us busy. Roy is of course happiest taking shots with the backstop. Although the yard is empty, we only reserve skyline shots when the field is the only place the pellet can fall. Now, not every shot finds its mark, and there are some lucky birds out there. Like a scene from The Matrix, it's a perfectly timed getaway. This second bird nearly gets a glancing blow to its leg. Then there's this wood pigeon feeding on the ground.
Now with the wood pigeons, they're a much tougher creature to kill with the air rifle, so you want to get a nice headshot if you can. If he doesn't hold his head still, I'm going to try and go through and hit the spine. But as I say, these are much tougher creatures than the... He doesn't really want to hold his head still. Come on. Oh, I should have shot the one at the back then. He held his head still for me. There we go, hang on. What on earth happened there?
So I've just done the replay on that pigeon that was sitting there in front of the coil of yellow hose there. Took the shot and you can see the crosshairs are perfectly on. So it should have been an absolutely spot on shot for just taking the head out or just dropping down into the neck. But you can see perfectly the pellet going off to the left hand side, and there's no wind because we're in a courtyard surrounded by barns, so it's not windage. that can just be down to the deformity in a pellet. You know, that particular pellet might have had a slight crease in it or something like that, and that was enough to just crease the back of his neck, or just take a few feathers out of the back of his neck, and away he went. So, you know, really it does look good though.
Roy has zeroed the rifle at 30 yards, so when we have a couple of birds around the 50-yard range, we have to start looking at bullet drop more closely.
It all depends on the pellet drop here. So he's just over 50 yards away.
The pellet drops nicely into the chest.
There we go. So that was just over 50.
As Roy reloads the magazine, he finds a damaged pellet. Not spotting one earlier might have been the reason for the woodie's close shave.
So you can see on that pellet there, we've got a big deformity there. I just put it in the magazine and then noticed how a shape it was. So what I'd probably done on that wood pigeon is had a pellet in there that was like that, so it's not going to fly true to target. So that's probably what we're getting, and that's not necessarily the fault of the pellet manufacturer. That can just be down to the storage of how you have your pellets. If you drop the tin, or if you drop pellets on the floor and pick them up and put them back in, that is what you can get. So you can get deformities in there. So you know, it really does pay to be very careful with your pellets and make sure they don't get deformed and knocked about too much.
Every now and again we hear a boom from the other side of the farm, so we know Mark is getting some sport.
The real downside is that I can't really shoot up that way, and there's quite a lot coming from that field over there back over the farm, and I can't shoot into the farm obviously, and there's some of them are coming inside of that line over there.
Right.
I just don't want to shoot over that way because it's not long before you get to the road, and there's all the buildings and workers and stuff that way, so I've only really had stuff out in that angle.
Yep.
But yeah, I think they're going to come back. I can't believe they'll stay away forever.
Back to the air rifle, and Roy gets another couple of good shots off. This one is an excellent headshot. It's so important to practice so that you're confident of finding a very small target.
So obviously you can see this pigeon was shot in the back of the head there, so that's the entry wound there. He was just poking his head up over the gully. And when you're shooting anything with an air rifle, obviously you've got very little room for error. So you either want to be taking a head shot, a neck shot, or obviously through the vital organs, and preferably if you can take the spine out as well, because then they drop on the spot, or tend to drop on the spot. So you've only got a very small margin for error though, when you think that the main part that's going to kill the pigeon is just behind the eye, so you've got a very small target there, so it's probably about the size of a 5p piece if you're looking at him side on. So you know, taking away the feathers and everything else, it doesn't really give you much of a target. You know, you need to make sure that your air rifle is spot on, and that you've practiced from shooting from lots of different positions, so you're used to shooting from a standing position or a kneeling position or whatever else, so you can ensure that your pellet is going to end up where you want to get to.
As the afternoon marches on, the number of birds above us is falling. They know something is up, and dead birds on the roof don't help. Things have also dried up for Mark, so it's time to call it a day and make further plans to tackle the problem here.
He was very appreciative we made the effort, which is about the only thing that matters. Really,
that's all you can do though, isn't it? As long as you're trying, then it keeps everybody happy. And there's a bit of ferret food there as well, so superb job.
There's 3 woodies in there, there's some Mark food as well.
There's a bag of about 50 birds. Mark scores about 15, with Roy taking out the rest, all helping to keep your cheese and pickle sandwiches pigeon free. Well, it may come as a surprise to you to know we do quite a lot of airgun films. We've got Roy Lupton creeping round a London shopping centre looking for feral pigeons. We have our rather popular pellet power and performance film. If you'd like to see a list of them, click on the screen that's appeared in the sky above me, and you can go straight there as long as you're watching this on YouTube. Now, for another bird with no future, it's David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Britain News. With the wildfowling season getting underway, Basque has brought out a new guide to superb value wildfowling with clubs all over the UK. The 2012-2013 Wildfowling Permit Scheme booklet is designed to provide information to people who have never been wildfowling, as well as the experienced wildfowler who wants to shoot in a new area. We made a film about the scheme, which you can watch by clicking on the link on the screen. To request a copy of the book, Email wildfowling@basque.org.uk. Basque is also underway mapping the future of shooting. The Green Shoots mapping website aims to identify the health of quarry populations and other important wildlife across the UK. Basque members will also be able to print off custom maps of their shooting ground for their own use. Visit greenshoots.basque.org.uk. It might become necessary to kill beavers. That's the conclusion of a new report by Scottish Natural Heritage. There's a trial release project underway in Argyllshire. A wider programme of releases in the future could, in some places, see the animals causing problems by damaging trees and crops. This film shows beaver hunting in Latvia. Organisers of the Midland Game Fair say the event is going ahead as planned, despite a summer of rain. The organisers issued the statement following cancellations of British rural events including the CLA Game Fair and the Great Yorkshire Show. A former American basketball star is the new face of anti-elephant and rhino poaching in Africa. Yao Ming spent 10 days filming a documentary aimed at discouraging the purchase of ivory and rhino horns. And finally, London commuters face a new terror on the Underground. Mice are attacking passengers at Farringdon Tube Station, according to the sign that's done the rounds of Twitter and the rest. The solution, according to Transport for London, tuck your trousers into your socks. There, don't be a victim. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Britain News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Thank you, David. Next, a really big gun. Tim Pilbeam is testing the Daystate Wolverine. The Daystate Wolverine 303 has got people talking. Some say it's awesome. Others point out that in order to own this work of Dr. Frankenstein in the UK, you need to have a firearms certificate. And if you have an FAC, why on earth would you bother about air when you can have powder? Well, today we want to find out if this beast is worth howling about. Instead of putting it in the hands of an airgunner, we're giving it to a rifle reviewer who hasn't been airgunning since he was in shorts.
Well, the last time I shot an air rifle, I was 15 years old, and then as soon as I get my hands on a 2.2 rimfire, I saw the light, and that was it. And that's the very last time, so that's 35 years ago. And now I'm faced with a 30 calibre air rifle, which is brilliant. So I'm looking forward to this.
Tim certainly likes the look of the Daystate, but before we see if it does the job, what about applications? To put it bluntly, what's the point of it?
Quite a few plus points to the 303 air rifle. Beyond 150 yards, these are very, very safe. The pellets, they just fizzle out, and very, very low ricochet, so very, very inherently safe, soft, malleable pellets. Secondly, the ammunition's a wee bit cheaper than the 2.2 rimfire. And thirdly, there are some police forces who actually are steering people towards an FAC air rifle because they feel it's safer than the 2.2 or a 1.7 HMR.
The biggest worry for Tim is animal welfare, not the fuzzy kind peddled by the antis. Tim wants to see his animals drop to the shot, and he knows his rifles will do exactly that.
If you are going to kill an animal, make sure you kill it with plenty of power. But air rifles have moved on an awful lot over the last 35 years, so therefore we need to look at these types of air rifles again and see what they are capable of.
So Tim is willing to give the Wolverine the benefit of the doubt. However, he wants to do a quick couple of comparison tests between his 2.2, a 1.7 HMR and this 303. First up, penetration.
We've got 5 bits of wood here, they're about 15 millimetres wide. Let's see how deep the bullets travel into the wood. So the 1.7's gone through 60 millimetres plus of wood. The 2.2's gone through 45, say 50 millimetres, and the 303 Wolverine's gone nearly through 30 millimetres of wood. What that tells me is the Wolverine, the 303, has a lot better lockdown power than the actual 2.2. The 2.2 with a rabbit tends to go straight through a rabbit, whereas a Wolverine, actually I expect will actually may well stop actually in the rabbit itself, which is very, very safe, and I expect it will knock the rabbit over a lot better than the 2.2 rimfire.
Next, let's look at accuracy. Here are some targets he has prepared earlier.
Comparing the rimfires to the 303 Wolverine, this is a 1.7 HMR, 17 grain bullet. At 50 yards we achieved about a 0.6 of an inch grouping. These are very windy conditions today, so it's not the best conditions to check the grouping. The 2.2 rimfire, 40 grain bullet. We achieved about 1 inch grouping in 50 yards, so that's quite respectable. The 303 Wolverine, in fact, we've actually got 10 shots here. It's very, very windy, and whilst we got 2 slight flyers, most of the shots went in the middle there, so I think as the day went on, the actual Wolverine improved quite a bit, so I'm very happy with the accuracy of the 303.
So far, the Wolverine seems to pack a punch, and it's pretty accurate, delivering all that energy where it counts. But what about the real thing? Well, Tim has a couple of myxomatosis sufferers that we can use for the last test. First up, it's the 22. Then the 303.
This is the rabbit shot with the 2-2 rimfire. We've got an entrance wound there. It's actually come straight through. You can just see that. Very standard for a 2-2 at about 50 yards. But the impact, actually, the rabbit actually moved quite a bit, so I was quite surprised on that. But that's fairly normal penetration exit wound for a rabbit. On the 303, once again we've got an entrance wound there, but it's actually come out the other side. But what was interesting is that the rabbit didn't actually move. The pellet went straight through it. I would have thought that with the knockdown power of the 303, I was expecting this rabbit to actually perhaps just fall over the back, but it actually stayed still, and the bullet went straight through it. So interesting observation. Nothing scientific about that, but it's just interesting to see how a rabbit reacts to a heavier bullet. But in this situation, it just goes straight through it. So I think we need to do, next thing to do is go out in the field at night time and knock a few bunnies over and see actually what happens with the 303.
OK, Tim fires up the beast, his now infamous V8 rabbiting vehicle. It does twice as many miles to the gallon as the Daystate does to an air fill. All eyes are on the Wolverine tonight, and to start with, Tim's friend Matt will be shooting with Tim driving and lamping. Rabbit number 1 is hit hard and drops. A good start, but how is that pellet behaving?
Just shot a rabbit about 35 yards away with the 303. You see the entry wound here, it's gone straight through the front shoulder. And at the moment, we can't find any exit wound whatsoever. So I think what we do, we get the knife out and have a quick look inside the chest cavity and see if there is anything actually in there. Pellet's actually gone through the rabbit. In fact, we've had a closer inspection. He's actually gone through the other side. So in this occasion, the pellet went straight through the rabbit about 35 yards, which is slightly surprising because it's taken the shoulder out, and I would have thought that the pellet would have perhaps mushroomed a bit more than that. But it's actually gone straight through the shoulder and straight through the chest cavity and out the other side. But it was an instant kill, so it's a job done.
As we move across the farm, Tim spots a fox. Not an animal he'd choose to shoot with the 303, but thankfully Matt has also packed his 243, just in case. The animal is on the move, but has one last glance back in our direction. The vixen drops.
Fortunately, actually, as ever, the foxes tend to, if they're running away, they always have a last look. And they looked around in front of this tree here, and we managed to shoot it. We're using tonight on foxes 75 grain VMAX, going out about 3.5 feet per second. And we like the VMAXs because they do expand very, very quickly, fragment, and causing huge trauma to the body, and that stops the animal straight away. It's instant death, and that's what we're trying to achieve here.
The rabbits aren't playing tonight. The ones we do see are far too far for the Daystate. However, before calling it a night, this bunny provides a nice close shot.
Here we go, we had a rabbit not very far away, I think about 15-20 metres away, and once again we've got quite a large entrance wound, but on the other side of the animal, now on this occasion the pellet went straight through the neck, so it's a great shot by Matt. And okay, yes, there we go. So the pellet's actually passed through the neck and actually out of the lower part of the jaw, which is slightly surprising because you've got some hard neck bone tissue there, and also down the bottom of the jaw here, I can feel it now, and that's all very hard bone, and that pellet's actually gone straight through and out the other side. I would have thought an air rifle pellet would have mushroomed out and actually stopped, if not just perhaps caused quite a big exit wound, but there's nothing there, so he's actually gone straight through.
We haven't had the volume of rabbits we'd hoped for this evening, but Tim's certainly got a feel for this rifle. So, the big question is, would he consider the Wolverine as a serious pest-controlling contender?
I suppose I've got to look at it from a person who likes the smell of gunpowder. It performed, we shot I think 3 or 4 rabbits, and every single time the pellet went straight through the animal, and on 2 occasions we didn't actually get a complete kill straight away, which is slightly concerning. If it had been a 2-2 rimfire, I think on most of those occasions I would expect that rabbit to be dead. If I had an HMR, 170 HMR, it would be definitely dead because of the explosive nature of the bullet. It's a beautifully built air rifle, beautiful bit of wood here, but after a night's out shooting I think I can stick with my 2-2 rimfire or my 170 HMR. But it's been a very, very interesting night out with the 303 Wolverine.
It's not for Tim, but it is an exciting addition to the world of field sports. It's a calibre feared by enemies of the British Army right up to when NATO introduced the limper-wristed 5.56. And thank goodness there are British companies out there who are working to revolutionise the sometimes staid old world of airguns. For more information about the Wolverine and the Daystate range, go to daystate.com. From airguns to shotguns and getting people into shooting, it's the Schools Challenge. The Novice Schools Challenge aims to introduce youngsters to shooting that have never held a gun before. The hope is that some will continue to keep on with their shooting.
If we have 10 that take it up, that's the result in my book. It's 10 more people shooting, 10 more customers into the shooting industry, which will keep the shooting industry going. 10 more guns out there, it will keep it going. So that, if that happens, I'll be happy.
You can see evidence of this today with some young guns returning. They may hold a slight advantage. A bit of friendly competition always helps to get the kids interested and gives them something to work towards over the summer months. The Oxford Gun Company holds have-a-go days every Tuesday throughout the summer holidays. The best 18 shots from the 75 who take part in those days make it into today's final. Who knows, maybe there's a future Olympic gold medalist among this lot of promising guns. To prep them for Rio 2016, the Oxford Gun Company provides the same flash clays used in London 2012. Today there are 4 girls competing and there's a bit of healthy rivalry in the air with the boys. There are a total of 3 stands on offer. The idea is not to frighten these novices with challenging targets, but give them some fun clays to shoot at. One of the stands is a bouncing bunny for added challenge and excitement. After everyone has given their best, 6 finalists go through to a shoot-off. Michael Hook, winner of the boys' competition today, has competed before, but this is his first win. Starting when he was 9 years old, Michael takes what he learns at the Oxford Gun Company and applies it to shooting outside these grounds.
Well, since I won this competition, I really want to go on and do better competition. Yeah.
This is your second competition?
Yeah. Last year I lost. I didn't do as well, but I was determined this year I was going to win it, and yeah, I won it. Yeah.
Michael's friend Will Ford is last year's winner, but you can't have glory every time.
In some ways, it would have been nice to win, but then again, he has been.
He needs his chance.
Yeah, he's been shooting really well as well.
While Will and Michael are, by novice standards, old hands, Isabel is new to the shooting scene. She tried shooting for the first time in Scotland, and with only 1 lesson at the Oxford Gun Company, she is the winner of the ladies' shoot.
It was quite relaxing because I didn't think I was going to win, and then during the end it was like a few points between all of the girls and we all started to get a bit tense, but it was really good, yeah.
David Florent runs the school challenge and is a keen advocate of promoting shooting in the younger generation.
The Novice Schools Challenge is there to encourage people to continue with shooting, not just have a go and put the gun away, to continue with it, and it shows them that the more they do, the better they can achieve, the better things they can win. And the lad that won it, Mikey, has been trying to win this for, he's done I think all 3 of them. He's put a lot of effort in and he's come out with a result.
We've made loads of films for the Schools Challenge over the last 3 years. If you'd like to see some of them and you're watching this on YouTube, click on that screen in the sky behind me. Now let's go international. It's Hunting YouTube. This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting, shooting and fishing videos that YouTube has to offer. A couple of French films for starters. Ooh la la. Milouin has featured before. This time he's showing a lovely early morning in the Camargue looking for duck. Next is a languid film about a mouflon hunting trip in the Czech Republic. There are a lot of mouflon here, an awful lot. Despite the calming piano music soundtrack, he does get to shoot them. From flocks of Czech sheep to sounders of Australian pigs. Steve Lee I Like Guns is hunting Crocodile Dundee country in the Northern Territory for feral pigs. He says that the NT has a high number of large boars because of the remoteness and the size of the state. That turns out to be an understatement. This place is pork soup and the animals are not hard to get close to. The damage they are doing to the countryside is clear to see. Steve has a lot of shooting on his hands here. Use your fingers, says totally awesome fishing host Graham Pullen in this British how-to piece about catching chub. What he's talking about is touch ledgering, where you feel the weight bumping along the bottom of the riverbed. You can bump and feel and also use your left hand, he says. It's so sensitive you can feel the bite. Fanar. Now we go 6,000 miles to California, where Jeremy Salmon Fishing 2 is a cute film, mainly to 1980s computer game music, showing an angler catching a chum salmon that has run up from the Pacific, and then showing his increasingly desperate attempts to let it go. He succeeds in the end. Staying in America, it's not quite our experience of deer stalking, but here's a keen hunter, Casey Shupman, editor and videographer for Management Advantage, who is planning what corn to leave on his farm in Illinois in order to attract deer. He's talking about crops and vegetation we barely grow or know in Europe, but the film has some useful tips about what he reckons deer want for cover and for food. Now we're back in the UK again and looking at rodents. Top of the list is this test of thermal imaging equipment by Lord of Frams, which includes plenty of rabbit shooting. Next we have rat hunting, and Country Pursuits TV is getting baity. That is, he's showing off the secrets of his best baits for ratting. You get 7 minutes of Malcolm being a kind of vermin version of Delia Smith, but eventually he takes the stuff out to try it out on the real thing. You can click on any of these films to watch them. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, send it in via YouTube or email me the link, charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. Well, if you like shooting, you'll love The Shooting Show. It's appearing on the screen just up there in the sky. Byron Pace is going out after mountain reedbuck in Africa, and Peter Carr is after roebuck. Thanks again. Both at home and abroad, episode 17 of The Shooting Show takes in the best shooting sports the planet has to offer. Byron is in South Africa, where he finds himself heading up dirt tracks into the mountains for a mountain reedbuck cull with a couple of old friends. They are on the trail of rams and ewes. Back in Britain, Peter Carr spots a roebuck living dangerously close to a busy road. There's the threat of a road traffic accident, so the pressure's on to go out stalking and grasp the buck quickly. The Shooting Show has also got the latest on British medals at the Paralympics and big bags shot during this year's grouse season. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't hesitate to hit the subscribe button that's somewhere around the outside of the screen there, or click on our shows page, should be appearing about there, www.youtube.com/show/Fieldsports Britain. That's where you get just this show, not everything else we do. Or go to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv. You can click to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter, or scroll down to the bottom, pop your email address into the constant contact box and we will constantly contact you. This has been Fieldsports Britain.